The crystal chandelier above the dining table cast perfect light on Mom's best china. 23 family members filled our parents' house for Thanksgiving. I was late because of a board meeting that ran over, but I'd made it. Emily's here, Aunt Linda announced as I walked in. Finally decided to join the successful people? Laughter rippled around the table. I slid into the only empty chair between Dad and my younger brother Marcus. We were just discussing Marcus's promotion, Mom said, beaming. Regional Vice President at 32. Can you imagine? Congratulations, I said genuinely. Marcus smirked. Thanks. Someone in this family had to figure out how real careers work. More laughter. I focused on my plate. Dad cleared his throat. The table went silent. He had that look, the one that meant he was about to make a point. Emily, he began, we need to talk about this entrepreneur phase you're going through. My fork paused halfway to my mouth. It's been what? 7 years now. Dad continued. You're 35 years old. You live in that tiny apartment. You drive a 10-year-old Honda. And you keep insisting you're running a business. I am running a business, I said quietly. A real business has an office, my sister Victoria chimed in. She was a corporate lawyer, never let anyone forget it. A real business has employees you can see. What do you even do? Make websites. Cybersecurity software, I corrected. Dad waved his hand dismissively. Whatever it is, it's time to stop playing pretend. Marcus, tell your sister about the opening in your company's IT department. Entry level, Marcus said, not even looking at me. 45,000 to start. You'd have to work your way up, but at least it's legitimate. I set down my fork. I'm not interested. Not interested? Dad's voice rose. You're not interested in stability? In respectability? Do you know what people say when they ask what my children do? I can say lawyer and VP of sales. Then I have to mumble something about you working in tech, like you're some kind of freelancer. David, Mom touched his arm, but he pulled away. No, Margaret. This has gone on long enough. Emily, you're embarrassing this family. Your cousins ask about you. Our neighbors ask about you. What am I supposed to say? That my daughter plays on computers in her apartment and calls it entrepreneurship. The table had gone completely silent. Everyone was staring at me. Stop playing entrepreneur, Dad said, each word deliberate. It's embarrassing the family. Grow up. Get a real job. Join the actual workforce like everyone else at this table. Uncle Robert nodded. He's right, Emily. We've all been thinking it. This tech thing, it's a hobby at best. A very expensive hobby, Victoria added. I heard you turned down a loan from Dad last year. Probably because you knew you couldn't pay it back. I hadn't turned it down. I hadn't needed it. But I said nothing. Aunt Linda leaned forward. Sweetheart, we're saying this because we love you. It's time to face reality. You're not 25 anymore. You need benefits. You need a 401k. You need legitimacy. The table murmured in agreement. Every single person. I looked around at my family. At their expensive watches and designer clothes. At their judgment and certainty. They had no idea. None of them. I appreciate your concern, I said quietly. Then you'll take the job? Marcus asked. I said I appreciate your concern. Not that I agree with it. Dad's face reddened. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. You sit there in clothes you've probably worn for 5 years and you have the audacity to... I think I should go, I interrupted, standing. Running away, Victoria said. As usual. I grabbed my coat. Mom followed me to the door. Emily, please. Your father is just worried about you. I know, Mom. Maybe just consider what Marcus said about the IT position. I kissed her cheek. Happy Thanksgiving. I drove back to my tiny apartment, a modest 2-bedroom in Austin that I'd deliberately chosen to stay under the radar. I'd learned early that showing wealth invited questions I wasn't ready to answer. That night, I sat in my home office and looked at the 19 monitors displaying real-time data from Secure Core Technologies. My company. The one I'd built from scratch 7 years ago with 2 maxed-out credit cards and an idea that everyone said wouldn't work. Current valuation, $127 million. Employees, 340 spread across offices in Austin, Seattle, and London. Clients, 47 Fortune 500 companies, 12 government agencies and 200+ mid-size businesses. Annual revenue, $89 million and climbing. But sure, I was playing pretend. I'd started SecureCore in my actual tiny apartment, a studio in a bad part of town because it was all I could afford after college. I had a computer science degree from UT Austin that Dad had grudgingly paid for because, at least it's practical. He'd wanted me to get a nice corporate job. Benefits. Stability. A cubicle. I wanted to solve a problem I'd identified during my senior internship. Every cybersecurity platform on the market was reactive. They waited for breaches then scrambled to fix them. I designed something different. Predictive AI that learned attack patterns and prevented breaches before they happened. Everyone said it wouldn't work. The technology wasn't there yet. The market wasn't ready. I was too young, too inexperienced, too female to be taken seriously in cybersecurity. I built it anyway. The first 2 years were brutal. I lived on ramen and coffee. I coded 18-hour days. I taught myself advanced machine learning because I couldn't afford to hire anyone who knew it. I pitched to 47 venture capital firms and got rejected by all of them. Come back when you have traction, they all said. So I got traction. I landed my first client, a mid-size insurance company, by offering them 3 months free. They were desperate after a ransomware attack had cost them $2 million. My software prevented the next attack. Then the next. Then the next. They paid. Then they told their industry friends. Then those friends paid. By year 3 I had 12 employees and $3 million in revenue. I kept my apartment. Kept my old car. I told my family I was doing okay with my tech consulting. By year 5, we'd cracked the Fortune 500 market. JP Morgan Chase became a client after my software detected and prevented a sophisticated phishing attack that would have compromised 200,000 customer accounts. That contract alone was worth $8 million annually. The employees loved working at SecureCore. We offered equity, unlimited PTO, full remote options, and a culture that actually valued innovation over FaceTime. Our retention rate was 94%. Our Glassdoor rating was 4.8 stars. I still drove my Honda. Still lived in my modest apartment. Still showed up to family events in clothes from Target. Because the moment they knew I had money, everything would change. They'd want things. Investments in Marcus's, great ideas. Loans for Victoria's vacation home. They'd treat me differently, not because they respected what I'd built but because they wanted access to it. So I stayed quiet. I stayed small in their eyes. I built my empire in the shadows while they thought I was failing in the light. What my family didn't know, Fortune magazine had been researching a feature on hidden tech titans, successful CEOs who'd built massive companies without the typical Silicon Valley fanfare. No splashy product launches. No TechCrunch coverage. Just solid businesses solving real problems. Their researchers had found SecureCore. They'd been impressed by our growth trajectory, our client list, and our complete absence from typical tech media. In September, 3 months before Thanksgiving, they'd reached out. We'd like to feature you in our CEO of the Year issue, the editor had said. You've built something remarkable while staying completely off the radar. That's exactly the story we want to tell. I'd hesitated. Going public meant my family would find out. It meant the careful separation I'd maintained would collapse. Miss Chin, the editor had prompted. This is a significant honor. We only feature 5 CEOs in this issue. I'd thought about Dad's face every time he introduced me. The embarrassment in his voice. The way he'd changed the subject as quickly as possible. I'll do it, I'd said. They'd spent October doing deep research. Interviewing my employees, my clients, my board members. They'd fact-checked every number 3 times because the story seemed almost too good to be true. 35-year-old woman builds $127 million cybersecurity empire, completely bootstrapped, while her family thinks she's barely getting by. The magazine was set to hit newsstands on Friday, November 24th. The day after Thanksgiving. They'd called Wednesday night, the night before Thanksgiving, to confirm final details. I'd been packing to drive to my parents' house. Just so you know, the editor had said, we're incredibly excited about this piece. The photography came out beautifully. You're going to be on the cover. My hands had frozen on my suitcase. The cover. Absolutely. The Secret CEO. How Emily Chin built a $127 million empire while everyone thought she was failing. It's going to be massive. I'd sat down hard on my bed. Cover. Not just a feature buried on page 87. The actual cover of Fortune magazine's CEO of the Year issue. Ms. Chen? Is that okay? Yes, I'd managed. That's fine. Great. The issue goes live online at 6 a.m. Eastern on Friday. Print copies will be in stores by 8 a.m. We'll email you a PDF Thursday night so you can see it before it goes public. I'd thanked her and hung up. Then I'd stared at my phone for 20 minutes. By Friday morning everyone would know. The secret would be out. My family would see the cover. They'd read the article. They'd know everything. Good, I'd thought. Let them know. I didn't sleep well at my hotel Thursday night. I'd left Thanksgiving dinner early and couldn't face going back to my apartment, so I'd checked into a Marriott near my parents' house. The PDF from Fortune arrived at 11:47 p.m. I opened it on my laptop and just stared. The cover photo showed me in my SecureCore office in Austin. The real one, the corner suite with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lady Bird Lake. I was leaning against my desk in a sharp navy suit they'd brought for the shoot, arms crossed, slight smile. Behind me, visible through the glass walls, my team worked at their stations. The headline ran across the top in bold, CEO of the Year, The Secret Empire. Below my photo. How Emily Chen built $127 million in cybersecurity while her family thought she was broke. Inside was a 6-page spread. Photos of our offices. Graphs showing our revenue growth. Quotes from clients praising our technology. An interview where I'd explain my strategy of staying under the radar. A sidebar listing our achievements. $89 million annual revenue. 340 employees across 3 countries. 94% employee retention rate. 47 Fortune 500 clients. 12 government contracts. 0 outside funding. Completely bootstrapped. Projected valuation. $180 million by end of 2024. There was even a quote from the CTO of JP Morgan Chase. Emily Chen's technology saved us from what could have been a catastrophic breach. SecureCore isn't just good. It's the best in the industry. I closed the laptop and lay in the dark, wondering how tomorrow would unfold. I checked out of the hotel at 6:30 a.m. and drove to a coffee shop near my parents' house. The magazine would be online now. I wondered who would see it first. My phone rang at 7:15 a.m. Good morning, I answered. Emily, where are you? I made breakfast. I thought we could talk about yesterday, smooth things over before you drive back to Austin. I'm at Bennu Coffee on West 6th. I can be there in 10 minutes. Perfect. Your father's already up. We'll see you soon. I arrived at 7:28 a.m. Dad's Lexus was in the driveway along with Marcus's BMW. Great. He'd stayed over. I let myself in with my key. The smell of coffee and bacon filled the house. In the kitchen. Mom called. Dad sat at the breakfast bar reading something on his iPad. Marcus was scrolling on his phone. Mom was at the stove. Coffee's fresh, she said warmly. He was trying. She always tried to keep peace. I poured a cup and leaned against the counter. Dad glanced up briefly, then back to his iPad. Still angry about last night. My phone rang. I looked at the screen. New York number. Fortune magazine's main line. I answered. This is Emily. Miss Chen, this is Jennifer Walsh from Fortune magazine. I wanted to personally congratulate you before the official release. The response to the early digital edition has been phenomenal. We're already seeing it trend on LinkedIn and Twitter. I watched Dad's head snap up. He was staring at me now. Thank you, I said. I appreciate the call. We'd love to schedule some follow-up interviews. CNN Business has already reached out. So has Bloomberg. Are you available for? Can I call you back in about an hour? I asked. I'm with family. Of course. Again, congratulations on the cover, Ms. Chen. CEO of the Year is well deserved. Thank you, Jennifer. I ended the call. The kitchen was completely silent. Dad had set down his iPad. Marcus had looked up from his phone. Mom had turned from the stove. Fortune magazine? Dad said slowly. Yes. They called you Ms. Chen. That's my name. Marcus laughed. What, did you enter some contest or something? My phone rang again. I glanced at it. Another New York number. Sorry, I said. I should probably take this too. I answered. Emily Chin. Miss Chin, this is David Park from Bloomberg Technology. We just saw the Fortune cover. We'd love to do a segment on your company's growth strategy. Would you be available next week? Dad's face had gone pale. I'll have my PR team reach out to schedule something, I said. Can I get your email? I pulled up my notes app and typed as he spelled it out. Got it. Thank you, David. I hung up. 3 pairs of eyes stared at me. PR team. Marcus said weakly. The coffee maker beeped. No one moved. Dad found his voice. Emily. What is happening? Fortune magazine published their CEO of the Year issue this morning, I said calmly. I'm on the cover. The silence stretched. Mom set down her spatula. That's not possible, Marcus said. I pulled out my phone, opened my email and found the PDF. I turned it toward them. Dad stood up so fast his bar stool nearly tipped over. He grabbed the phone from my hand. His eyes went wide. He zoomed in on the cover. Read the headline. Stared at my photo. His hands were shaking. 127 million, he whispered. Current valuation, I confirmed. We should hit $180 million by year end. Marcus snatched the phone. His face went through several colors as he scrolled through the article. 340 employees, he read aloud. Offices in Austin, Seattle, and London. 89 million in annual revenue. He looked up at me. This is fake. This has to be fake. It's not fake, I said. Mom moved closer, reading over Marcus's shoulder. Her hand went to her mouth. Dad had picked up his iPad. His fingers fumbled across the screen. Fortune magazine website, he muttered. Fortune magazine. He found it. The cover loaded on his screen. Same photo. Same headline. He read in silence for 30 seconds. Then a minute. Then 2 minutes. His coffee cup was still full, sitting on the counter where he'd left it. His hand moved toward it automatically, not looking, still reading. He knocked it over. The ceramic shattered on the tile floor. Coffee sprayed across the white cabinets. No one moved to clean it. Dad just stared at his iPad, at my face on the Fortune magazine cover, at the shattered cup at his feet. Dad, I said quietly. He didn't respond. He kept reading. His face had gone from pale to red. Marcus was scrolling frantically on his phone now. It's everywhere, he said. LinkedIn, Twitter. TechCrunch just posted about it. Fortune names Emily Chin CEO of the Year for building secret $127 million empire. He looked at me with something between shock and horror. How is this possible? I've been building it for 7 years, I said. You all knew I ran a tech company. You just assumed it wasn't successful. You drive a Honda, Mom whispered. I like my Honda. You live in a tiny apartment. It's adequate for my needs. You dress like, she stopped herself. Like I don't have money? I finished. I know. It was intentional. Dad finally looked up from his iPad. Intentional. Yes. You intentionally let us think you were failing. I let you think whatever you wanted to think. I never lied. You all just made assumptions. Assumptions. Dad's voice rose. You sat at that table last night he couldn't finish the sentence. While you told me to stop playing entrepreneur, I said quietly. While you said I was embarrassing the family. While everyone agreed I needed to grow up and get a real job. The silence was deafening. Marcus was still scrolling. There's a quote here from the J.P. Morgan Chase CTO. Emily Chen's technology saved us from what could have been a catastrophic breach. He looked up. You work with J.P. Morgan Chase? They're one of 47 Fortune 500 clients, I said. 47, he repeated numbly. My phone rang again. I glanced at it. That's my CFO. I need to take this. I walked into the living room. Hey David. Emily, have you seen the response? We're getting flooded with inquiries. The website crashed twice from traffic. I've had 12 acquisition offers already and it's not even 8 a.m. How much? The highest is $340 million. Some private equity firm out of Boston. I told them we're not interested in selling but... We're not, I confirmed. Tell them thanks but no thanks. What else? 3 more Fortune 500 companies want demos. The Department of Defense called. Apparently they saw the government contracts mention and want to discuss expansion. Oh, and you're trending on Twitter. Number 3 in the US. I walked to the window. I could see Dad and Marcus in the kitchen both staring at screens. Mom was crying quietly, holding a dish towel. Schedule the demos, I said. Get me a meeting with DoD next week. And tell PR to prepare a statement. Something about being honored by Fortune's recognition and staying committed to our mission. Nothing too fancy. Got it. Oh, and Emily. Yeah. Congratulations. This is huge. Thanks, David. I hung up and walked back to the kitchen. I stepped carefully around the broken coffee cup that no one had moved to clean. That was my CFO, I said. We've had 12 acquisition offers this morning. The highest is $340 million. Dad made a strangled sound. I'm not selling, I continued. We're growing too fast and I believe in what we're building. But it's nice to know the market values us that highly. Marcus had set down his phone. He was just staring at me. How, he said. How did you do this? I built a better product. I solved a real problem. I hired great people and treated them well. I reinvested profits instead of taking them out. I focused on sustainable growth instead of flashy headlines. I shrugged. Basic business principles, really. But you're 35, Mom said. Same age Steve Jobs was when he launched the Macintosh. Dad finally spoke. His voice was hollow. Last night at that table I told you to stop playing entrepreneur. I remember. I said you were embarrassing the family. I remember that too. I told you to get a real job. $45,000 a year. Entry-level IT. Yes. He set down his iPad very carefully. I'm on the board of directors at my company. I make $340,000 a year. I thought I was successful. You are successful, Dad. You make more in a month than I make in a year. I didn't respond. The numbers in the article spoke for themselves. Marcus stood up abruptly. I need to go. Marcus, Mom started. No. I need to process this. He grabbed his keys and walked out. The door slammed behind him. Mom wiped her eyes. Emily, sweetie, why didn't you tell us? Would you have believed me? If I'd shown up 2 years ago and said I was running a multi-million-dollar company, would any of you have taken me seriously? She opened her mouth, closed it, looked at Dad. No, Dad said quietly. No, we wouldn't have. And once the company got big enough that you would have believed me, you would have wanted things. Investments, loans, opportunities. It would have changed everything. So you just let us think you were failing? I let you see what you wanted to see. You wanted to see failure because it made you feel better about your own choices. You wanted the family embarrassment so you could feel like the successful ones. Dad flinched like I'd hit him. That's harsh, Emily, Mom said. But is it untrue? She didn't answer. My phone buzzed. Text from my head of PR. CNN wants you for tomorrow's morning show. Yes or no? I typed back. Yes. Book it. I need to go, I said to my parents. I have a company to run and apparently a media tour to prepare for. Emily, wait, Dad said. I owe you an apology. You owe me several. He flinched again. Yes. I do. Last night the things I said were how you actually feel, I interrupted. You didn't say anything last night that you haven't been thinking for 7 years. You just finally said it out loud. I was wrong. Yes. You were. I'm sorry. I looked at him. At this man who'd paid for my education while making it clear he thought I was wasting it. Who'd introduced me at parties as our daughter who works in tech, with embarrassment in his voice. Who'd offered me a $45,000 entry-level job last night like he was doing me a favor. I appreciate the apology, I said. But I think we both need some time. Time. To figure out what our relationship looks like now that you can't pretend I'm the failure of the family. His face crumpled. Mom started crying harder. I walked to the door. Turned back. For what it's worth, I never wanted to embarrass you. I just wanted to build something meaningful. Something that mattered. I did that. Whether you're proud of it or not doesn't change what I've accomplished. I left them standing in their kitchen with broken coffee cup pieces still scattered across the floor. The Fortune cover changed everything. By Monday, I'd done interviews with CNN, Bloomberg, and CNBC. TechCrunch ran a deep dive on Secure Core's technology. Forbes published a follow-up piece on why Emily Chen's stealth success matters. The story wasn't just about the numbers. It was about the why. Why I'd stayed hidden. Why my family hadn't known. The article's author had captured something that resonated with people. The idea that success doesn't always look like what we expect it to look like. My LinkedIn exploded. I gained 50,000 followers in 3 days. My DMs filled with messages from other entrepreneurs who'd been dismissed by their families. From women in tech who'd been told they couldn't build companies. From people who'd been underestimated and had quietly proved everyone wrong. The acquisition offers kept coming. By Wednesday we'd received 47 of them. The highest was $680 million. I turned them all down. Marcus called on Tuesday. Can we talk? We met at a coffee shop halfway between his office and my apartment. I've been thinking about what you said, he started. About us wanting you to fail so we could feel successful. And you were right. He stared into his latte. When you showed up in your old car in your Target clothes, it made me feel good. Like I'd made the right choices and you'd made the wrong ones. Like I was the smart one. And now I realize I'm the regional VP of a company someone else built. I make good money. I have a nice title. But you actually built something. You created something from nothing. You have 340 people who depend on you. You're solving real problems. Your job matters too, Marcus. Does it? He laughed bitterly. I push papers and manage sales territories. You're literally protecting the financial data of millions of people. Different roles. Both necessary. He looked up at me. I'm sorry. For last night. For every family dinner before that. For every time I made you feel small so I could feel big. I accept your apology. Can I ask you something? Sure. The entry-level IT job I offered you. $45,000. What do you actually make? I thought about not answering. Then decided he'd earned the truth. I took a $180,000 salary last year. But my equity stake is worth about $68 million at current valuation. He set down his cup carefully. Jesus. I kept the salary modest. I wanted most of the value to stay in the company, and I made sure my early employees got good equity packages. The wealth takes care of itself if you build something that matters. 68 million, he repeated. Paper value, I clarified. I don't think about it much. It's just numbers until you actually sell. We talked for another hour. Really talked maybe for the first time since we were kids. He told me about the pressure he felt to keep climbing, to keep impressing Dad. I told him about the loneliness of building something while everyone thought you were failing. When we left, he hugged me. I'm proud of you, sis. I should have said that years ago. Dad called on Friday. Can I take you to dinner? We met at Jeffrey's, the nice steakhouse he always went to for celebrations. He stood when I arrived, pulled out my chair, waited for me to sit before sitting himself. Formal. Nervous. Thank you for coming, he said. Of course. We ordered. Made small talk about the weather, about Austin traffic. Then the food arrived and he set down his fork. I've been doing a lot of thinking this week, he said. About what kind of father I've been to you. I waited. I thought I was helping. All those years of pushing you toward stability, toward the safe choice. I thought I was protecting you from failure. I know. But I wasn't protecting you. I was protecting myself. From the fear that you'd fail and it would reflect poorly on me. From the fear that you'd succeed in a way I didn't understand and it would make me feel small. Dad. Let me finish. He took a breath. You did something I never had the courage to do. You took a massive risk. You bet on yourself when no one else would. You built something extraordinary. And instead of being proud, I was threatened. You wanted me to be successful, I said. Just on your terms. Yes. And when you insisted on your own terms, I decided you were failing instead of admitting I didn't understand what you were building. The restaurant hummed with quiet conversation around us. I read the Fortune article 3 times, Dad continued. There's a section where they interview your employees. Do you know what they said about you? I haven't read it all yet. They said you're the best boss they've ever had. That you remember their kids' names. That you shut down the office for a week last Christmas so everyone could be with family. That you cry when you have to let someone go, even when it's necessary. His voice cracked. They said you built the kind of company you wished existed when you were starting out. I felt my own eyes getting wet. I'm so proud of you, Emily. Not because of the money or the magazine cover. Because you became exactly who you wanted to be, and you did it without compromising who you are. Thank you, Dad. Can you forgive me? For not seeing it? For not believing in you? I reached across the table and took his hand. There's nothing to forgive. You did what you thought was right. You can't help what you don't understand. I want to understand now. Then ask questions. Visit my office. Meet my team. Let me show you what I built. He squeezed my hand. I'd like that. We finished dinner talking about Secure Core. I explained the technology in terms he could understand. Told him about our biggest challenges and proudest moments. He asked smart questions. Really listened. When we left, he hugged me in the parking lot. I love you, kiddo. I should have said that more. I love you too, Dad. Secure Core hit $180 million valuation right on schedule. We landed the Department of Defense contract, $34 million over 3 years. Forbes named me to their 30 under 40 list. We opened a 4th office in Singapore. I bought a nicer apartment. Kept the Honda though. Still wore Target clothes most days, though I had a few nice suits now for media appearances. My family came to the office opening in Singapore. All of them. Dad, Mom, Marcus, Victoria, even Aunt Linda and Uncle Robert. They met my team. Saw the operation. Watched how we worked. Victoria cornered my general counsel and peppered him with questions about our legal structure. Marcus spent an hour with my head of sales talking strategy. Dad just walked around with this expression of wonder on his face. At the celebration dinner, Dad stood to give a toast. 7 years ago, he said, my daughter started a company in a tiny apartment with nothing but an idea and a maxed-out credit card. I told her she was wasting her time, that she should get a real job, that she was embarrassing the family. The room had gone quiet. I was wrong about everything, he continued. Emily didn't need a real job. She created 340 of them. She didn't embarrass the family. She taught us what real courage looks like. She didn't waste her time. She changed an entire industry. He raised his glass. To Emily, who saw what was possible when the rest of us could only see what was safe. I'm sorry I didn't believe in you sooner. But I believe in you now. Everyone drank. I stood and hugged him, and this time I let myself cry a little. Later Mom pulled me aside. You know what I regret most? What? All those years you were building this, you did it alone. You didn't tell us because you didn't think we'd support you. And you were right not to think that. She touched my face. I'm sorry you had to be strong without us. I had people, I said. My team. My mentors. My friends who believed in me. I know. But we should have been in that group. We should have been your first believers, not your last. You're here now. That's what matters. She hugged me tight. I'm so proud of you, baby. So incredibly proud. People ask me now in interviews and at conferences, why did you hide your success? The real answer is complicated. Yes, I wanted to avoid my family's judgment and demands. But I also wanted to prove something to myself. That I could build something meaningful without anyone's approval or support. That I could succeed on my own terms in my own way. The Fortune cover didn't make me successful. I was already successful. It just made my success visible. And that's the thing about playing entrepreneur. You're not really playing. You're building. You're risking. You're betting everything on an idea that might fail. The people who dismiss you, who tell you to stop playing and get a real job, they're operating from fear. Fear of risk. Fear of failure. Fear that you might actually succeed in a way they can't understand or control. So you smile. You keep working. You build your empire in the shadows. And one day Fortune magazine calls your name. And your dad's coffee cup shatters. And everyone who thought you were failing finally sees what you built while they weren't looking. That's not playing. That's winning.